Tony Khan pulled off some incredible stuff tonight, and I can't wait to talk about it. Roll. We opened the show with MJF arriving at the building. It was a little video clip from earlier in the day where MJF walked in. Renee caught up to him. She was like, hey, how are you going to handle this entire situation where it's hair versus title? And he just kind of scoffed. He continued walking. And as he walked 40 feet and looked around, the camera panned every direction. And it was nothing but bald men. Tommaso Ciampa was there. He took his hat off, showed his bald head, gave MJF a little kissy. And then as MJF walked past him, Ricochet and The Demand were there, and Ricochet took his hat off and was like, hey, don't worry about it. You're going to look great. It's totally fine, bro. Ha-ha! And then MJF disappeared into the building. We got into the show proper. The first actual match of the night ended up being Ciampa, the Dogs, and FTR versus Christian and Copeland, the Young Bucks, and Orange Cassidy. And it was kind of just a big spot fest. It wasn't a bad match. Both sides got their licks in. The Young Bucks did have a 2-minute just full tear. It was entertaining enough. Nothing was lackluster. Nothing was missing. Nothing seemed out of place. Everything was going according to plan. Christian had a fun little spot where the Bucks were going to do super kicks, and he stopped them, and then just kicked one of his opponents right in the balls as the referee was distracted over on the other side of the ring. Very funny, very spot on. Enjoyed the heck out of it. Cope and Cage and the Bucks and Orange Cassidy did end up with the win in the very end. It was a good 10-12 minute match. Nothing too crazy, but definitely entertaining from top to bottom. Then we got a promo package from the Death Riders showing some training from earlier in the day. They seemed to be out on some kind of veranda for the arena, and they were all doing their own thing. Garcia and Pac and Claudio were playing handball with Marina Shafir, some form of handball, I'm not quite sure, while Jon Moxley was using Wheeler Yuta as a test dummy to show Will Ospreay how to do the Bulldog choke, where he's like lift and hook, and lift and hook, and lift and hook. And he did that 4, 5, 6 times while Ospreay stayed in some form of a back bridge, feet and top of head. And so he was just kind of upside down watching this whole thing on like a yoga mat. It was very interesting. After Mox was done with Yuta, he got with Ospreay and they went face to face, and he was just like, you need to stop trying to protect yourself. Just go balls to the wall. Don't worry about injury. It's not going to happen as long as your offense is good. Then we got a little promo package for the Stadium Stampede match showing some stuff that has happened in other Stadium Stampede matches, some of the shenanigans, some of the ridiculousness, some of the bigger spots. And that rolled directly into Ricochet and The Demand standing in the back with Mark Davis. And then Ricochet introduced Andrade. And then Ricochet said, oh, by the way, Young Bucks, we got 2 other people that seem to have an issue with your super kick parties, and they're joining our team to round us out to 7. And Finlay and Connors walked in, so that brings that to them. That's their team. Right into the second match of the night, which did end up being Mike Bailey versus a boy by the name of Westbrook. And that was legitimately a 90-second squash, although it was a very acrobatic 90-second squash because Westbrook also had some moves. And there was reversals and flippy-doos and doo-dahs and ding-dongs and all kinds of shenanigans in that 90 seconds. I'm sure you could find somebody that put the entire clip up on the internet and watch the whole thing. Kevin Knight was at ringside. After Mike Bailey got the win, Knight rolled into the ring, and it was his turn. And he had a open challenge match for his TNT title. And guess who decided to come back today? Brian Cage. Brian Cage is back, everybody. And he's looking more and more jacked every time we see him. He's been gone for 14 months, and I think this man lived inside of a gym. Plus, he has a full beard now, which is fascinating. So, that match was just a couple of minutes. It was a lot more back and forth than I think it should have been. I'm not saying Kevin Knight should have lost the title tonight, but I really think that Brian Cage should have had more of a dominant offense, and then Knight could have done some sort of surprise roll-up, maybe a schoolboy, I don't know. But it was very back and forth after the first 3 minutes. Prior to that, Kevin Knight was just running into Brian Cage and falling down. Just over and over and over again. It was interesting. It was very funny from time to time. But Kevin Knight is still your TNT champ. Welcome back, Brian Cage. We missed you. Hopefully you can help the Don Callis family move some of this forward and collect a little bit more gold. But again, first night back after 14 months. Welcome back. Glad to see you. Hopefully things work out and you don't get accidental injuries again anytime soon. After Kevin Knight got the win, both him and Bayley grabbed microphones and they were just like, hey, we're still doing great. We still are a tag team. We're doing very well as a tag team. However, we both still do want to have singles titles. So Bayley turned to a camera and was like, Darby, if you win tonight, next week, you and me, let's do this. And so the challenge is out there. We'll see if it happens. Hopefully it happens. That would be a very good match. But we will just have to wait until Saturday and see if that does get signed in as a match for next Wednesday, which, by the way, is a 3-hour event because next weekend is the pay-per-view, and I'm excited. Very much excited. Then they released the brackets for this year's Owen Hart tournament, men's Owen Hart tournament. So here's a photo of the bracket. Take a look, take a gander. There's a couple of matches on there that should be pretty interesting. This first round is going to be very strange, especially because Samoa Joe is going up against Will Ospreay, and I don't know how that's going to go, although I'm sure that they're going to continue to build Ospreay, so he will probably get the victory over Joe, but the first match is at the pay-per-view. So 10 days away, we'll get to see what's going on. Everything is hunky-dory on my end with this. Then we smash cut to the back, and Jack Perry did a little promo, basically just saying, hey, I know there's a lot going on right now, but first chance I get, I'm putting my hands on Mark Davis, and we're going at it. That was he wants his title back. He made that very clear, but he also wants to just hurt Mark Davis. So this will be fun, and hopefully everything works out in his favor. Although more gold for Don Callis' family right now, I think, would be pretty sweet. The next match of the night was Will Ospreay versus Ace Austin. It was more acrobatic than I expected it to be. However, I was very much into the entire thing. Ace Austin obviously has his little handstands and backflips and spinny type stuff. We all know Ospreay can move his body in a way that Isaac Newton would never be able to explain. So just lack of gravity for this match. There was lots of high flying, lots of back and forth, lots of kicking. Will Ospreay is looking very strong, which is good. I'm very happy that he is looking strong. The weird Death Rider promos that he's doing right now with all their training seem to be working out. I don't know what else they're doing, like behind the scenes when the cameras aren't on anybody, as far as keeping him in tip-top shape, but it's working, so keep it going. Ace Austin did a figure 4 pin at one point. It was very interesting. I thought at first it was going to be like a Darby Allin Last Supper type of deal, but it truly was a strange little figure 4 thing that rolled into a pin that only got 2 count, only 2 count, which is fine. But in the end, Will Ospreay did get the victory. It was really tough back and forth. This was a Will Ospreay victory via submission, which I don't think anybody has seen from him in quite a while over in New Japan. That has not been an AEW Will Ospreay thing. So this whole thing with the Death Riders seems to be working in his favor. I'm not poo-pooing it. I think it's odd. I hope there's a big payoff. But that's just what it was. After the match, Samoa Joe came out and was like, hey, I offered you a spot in the ops where we all prop each other up because we're all good people and we want our friends to succeed, and you seem to have just spit in my face. So Anthony Bones and Shibata want to come down there and kick your face in, because I might be allowing you to get off this week, but I don't collar and leash my friends. And Joe took a step back. Bones and Shibata headed down to the ring. When the Death Rider music hit, they came walking through the crowd, got ringside, everybody hopped up on the apron, and the ops backed down and disappeared. We came to the back once again with Renee Paquette. She was doing a quick interview with Don Callis and Takeshita about the upcoming main event match for the night. And Don Callis was like, Takeshita can absolutely defeat Darby Allin for the title. He's defeated Darby Allin before, back in 2024. He has everything he needs to become the champion tonight. If any of that happens, awesome. MJF came in and did his MJF thing and was just like, I don't trust you, but I bet that you can do it because I think that you actually have all the power to defeat Darby Allin. Big thumbs up. Go get him, champ. Takeshita walked off. MJF looked at Don and was just like, your boy better pull through. He turned around and started to leave, and Andrade walked into frame, and it just kind of was like, heh heh heh. And then we got a quick rundown of the women's Owen Hart tournament bracket. Boop, there it is. Seems like this one should also be a very interesting combination of wrestlers, and hopefully everybody gets your picks in now for who's going to win, and maybe Prize Picks will give you some money. I don't know. Then the cameras moved to a different section of the backstage area where the conglomeration were hanging out, and it was kind of a whole kerfuffle and a whole to-do because Mark Briscoe's back. Welcome back, Mark Briscoe. He came out and said his piece. Everybody was excited, and then he called out Ciampa for next week. I hope that they do have another match. I think that the two of them work very well together, especially with everything they've done in the past with ROH. So I'm sure we're going to get 3, 4, 5 more matches between Ciampa and Briscoe. It's not quite filler at this point because it's still kind of exciting to see the two of them go back and forth. So next Wednesday, Briscoe Ciampa, it'll be great. Then we got a women's trios match, and it was the Triangle of Madness versus Hikaru Shida and the Brawling Birds. It looked to be a very promising match. Everybody seemed to be in top form. Statlander was not cleared to travel this week from an injury, so she had zero part in any of this. Shida, however, decided to continue her new weird little maybe I'm a bad guy routine, and it worked out pretty well. The entire thing lasted about 5 minutes because Tekla just got fed up and grabbed her title and smashed Shida right in the face with it and got disqualified. And then the Triangle of Madness just started to attack anybody and everybody. Julia Hart hit a referee with the Black Mist, and as soon as the Triangle of Madness really looked like they were going to put some hurt on some of these other women just to dampen their ability to have a good fight next weekend at the pay-per-view in the Fatal 4-Way, Willow Nightingale, Mina Shirakawa, and Thunder Rosa came running out for the save. Triangle of Madness scampered away. No harm, no foul. I don't understand why the next thing we got was a package for Roosh. He's an excellent wrestler. He's an excellent performer. He's an excellent entertainer. What are they pushing right now? If somebody could make sense of it, that would be cool. But we did get a 37-second promo of Roosh doing his Roosh thing, and I just want a payoff for it. Please and thank you. Then we got to the main event. Darby Allin versus Takeshita for the title. And it was a lot more ridiculous than I thought it was going to be. So, let's just get into it. Darby really did go on the offensive as quick as he could. However, Takeshita is about a foot taller than him and probably has 100 pounds on Darby without having had dinner, right? So there was a lot of back and forth. The stairs got involved at one point. Takeshita was looking to do a belly-to-belly, and Darby stopped him and threw him into the stairs instead. They fought back and forth, got into the ring, got out of the ring, got into the ring. Then Takeshita hit Darby with a blue thunder bomb from the apron to the floor. Ridiculous splat. Super big splat. Everybody in the arena heard the splat. It was crazy. We went from there to an avalanche German suplex a few minutes later from Takeshita to Darby, which he held on to. It wasn't a release German. It was a avalanche German bridge pin, which was crazy. Got a 2 count. Sorry, Takeshita, better luck next time. Darby started to get the upper hand, which somehow Don Callis sent a signal to the back, I guess, because El Clone, my boy, popped up and was distracting the referee. Don Callis popped off the commentator's desk, came over to ringside, got motioned Takeshita over, and then took MJF's Dynamite Diamond ring off, handed it to Takeshita. And he was like, use it. You've got the time. Take the title. Let's get this done. And Takeshita looked at it, and he honestly thought about it. He kind of started to put it on, and then he threw it and was just like, no. And that pissed off Don Callis, and he went scampering back to the commentator's desk, which didn't end well for him, because after that, Darby got a second wind, popped up, hit some attacks on Takeshita, really turned the tide of everything, and that's where things went insane. So we got an Avalanche Code Red, which turned into a Last Supper pin, got a 2 count. Then there was a coffin drop from the turnbuckle to the floor. Takeshita somehow managed to get himself together after that. They went back over to the stairs that had been moved, and Darby hit a Scorpion Death Drop on the stairs. Wild. Then there was a second coffin drop from above to the floor. Darby rolled Takeshita back into the ring, got a 2 count, then they fought for a moment. Takeshita got into the ropes a little bit. Darby Allin hit tried to hit a third coffin drop, missed because Takeshita propped up his knees, which then just became this whole ordeal for a moment. Darby got a Scorpion Death Lock in the middle of the ring, but Takeshita is a big, long, lanky boy, and he managed to get to the ropes. As he was using the ropes to climb back up, Darby had popped up to the top rope, hit the third official coffin drop, which rolled Takeshita back toward the center of the ring. Then he hit the fourth coffin drop of the match and got a 1-2-3 right in the middle of the ring. It was a lot and not enough, all at the same time. Darby was bleeding from the mouth by the end of all of this. Don't know when that happened or what he hit or if it was internal bleeding, like Taz was trying to make it sound like. But it was crazy. When the match was over, Takeshita rolled out of the ring. He disappeared. And then a bunch of stage guys came out in their dark outfits. They pulled a table and a tablecloth and a couple of chairs and the contract into the ring. They set it all up. Darby called out MJF. MJF came down. Darby signed the contract, no issue. Big smile, big bloody smile on his face. And then MJF was supposed to sign it right then and there, but he decided to go on a diatribe about how Darby was just going to be known as a kid who got lucky. He's going to have no legacy, whereas MJF is going to have the legacy of being a 3-time world champion by the age of 30 in the company, which is unheard of, which is record-breaking, which is astounding, making him the best in the world. Darby basically said, go fuck yourself, sign this contract, or shut up. And MJF, to his credit, signed the contract. and then put the beat down on Darby Allin. He was about to do an avalanche tombstone off of the second rope when Kevin Knight came rushing out and saved Darby. MJF ran off with his Dynamite Diamond ring, and that was the end of the show. So, Saturday is going to be a lot of fun. Next Wednesday is a big 3-hour event. Next weekend is the pay-per-view. Put your predictions down below. I'm excited to see who thinks what's happening where, and let's just have a chat about it. So until then, have a great rest of your week. Don't do anything crazy. Peace.